And apparently this is from Fabrizio Romano, some talks happening between Chelsea and Atletico Madrid, who seem to have a pretty good relationship because you have Alvaro Morata, who's done a loan deal, and they've made business before between the two clubs. Saul came over on loan last season. I don't think he played much under Tuchel, but it still happened. Joao Felix is now the newest name from Atleti to Chelsea. And now there's rumors that maybe they can figure out a way to move Pulisic to Atleti over the summer and then keep Joao Felix. And I want everybody to chime in on this. In terms of, do you think Atletico Madrid, I like that he goes to Spain. I think that's a good fit. And I think it would be fun to see him play over there. But is Diego Simeone, did he announce Diego Simeone that he's leaving at the end of the season? That's obviously going to kind of probably impact my thoughts on this overall, but if he does leave. But for right now, they're very defensive under Simeone. They've always been defensive under Simeone, but that's helped them win a couple of La Liga titles, got to a couple of Champions League finals. When the guys are bought in, then it works. But when I look at their lineup overall, Heath, they usually play a 4-4-2, and the guys out wide in midfield just tend to be a little bit more defense-minded, right? They have Rodrigo de Paul, for instance, who usually comes in central, and they let their outside back come in. I mean, it's not Christian Pulisic territory. At times, they will play a 4-1-4-1, and then they have Marcus Llorente on one side, Griezmann on the other, and then
and they
Joao Felix up top when he was there, over Morata up top.
Well, I think if you do have a Joao Felix type of player, or a player like a Griezmann on the inside that can allow you to spring out on the counterattack, that could fit his style of play, even if they are more defensive, gives him more room to get in behind or isolate one-on-one. I actually think where I've struggled to see the most growth from Christian Pulisic is that impact in the final third, in the build-up play, combination play, those types of things that he's so good at, good first touch, explosive on the dribble, those types of things that I'd like to see more of that. But I have seen him when games get open, right? When he's covering a lot of ground, when he's getting open and isolated in the open field. And I think that could play to it. Maybe I'm just sort of forcing square peg into a round hole to justify freeing him from his Chelsea circumstances. But I would be pro that over him staying at Chelsea, that's for sure.
Okay, do you feel like, we got a comment there from Heather. What's up, Heather? The Tercios family, always supporting from they're day oneers over there. She says that he should stay in the Premier League and he shouldn't leave. And I know there's been interest from Newcastle before, and I wonder if Chelsea's just doesn't want to face him at any point, or they might just get a better offer from Atleti and you're going to take the better offer. I don't know. I think that playing for Atleti, or one of the top 3 or 4 clubs in any of the leagues in Europe, would be, well, outside of the French league. I'd like to see him, even, I don't know if you go back to Germany. So you're really talking Italy.
You fall off if you go to like a big Portuguese club, like one of the 2 or 3 big giants. Like, is that a bad thing? You're playing Champions League.
I think it would be seen as a step back. Even going back to the Bundesliga, unless it's Bayern Munich, I still think it would be considered a step back.
I still think he fits into Bayern. I still think Serginho Dest fits into Bayern. When I think about Bayern and the young players that they play and the quality of the players that they have, and you look at just the names, it's not like Bayern's full of just superstars right now. They're still winning, but they've still got a lot of industrious players that can get the job done, but they're not, Choupo-Moting isn't like a tier 1A striker, right? And so when I think about Christian Pulisic and how he could contribute to that team, you're not going to compete with Sadio Mane, but I just think that he could contribute there. But again, when I say contribute,
right, what does that mean?
Where does he fit on the field? Where is he your bona fide starter? And I don't know if Bayern's the kind of place that would have, again, even the patience. He'd get a lot of games like anybody, but I don't know if they have the patience with his injury issues, or if he doesn't produce for 2-3 games.
I feel like we all want to see him go to a team where he's trusted and that he's a player that is relied upon, because that really ties in nicely to how he's viewed for the U.S.
Right.
If he goes to Atleti, I don't know if he's an automatic starter. He goes to Bayern's, any of the top clubs in Italy, somewhere else in the Premier. If he goes to Newcastle, Miguel Almiron is like on fire, right? That guy's on fire. You got others that are doing the job.
But Jimmy, I don't think
there's no situation where I think, unless he has to take that quote unquote step back somewhere where that appears to be a step back, so he can go be the guy. Exactly. But I don't know. I feel like once you make that jump to Chelsea, you're wearing the number 10 shirt. There's not too many places you can go where you're going to be able to match that, wages included.
Yeah, I don't think players choose their transfer fee. So it's always hard for me to like make them justify that, because it's not like he said, I want to move to there and it's going to cost this. But I do think that wherever he goes, he's still got I'm a young-ish player that's proven some stuff, and I've got a long way to go to prove that I can be a consistent starter at the highest level. And therefore, when I think about the clubs that we would associate him with, it's going to have to be a perfect situation of an outgoing player and a player coming in and budgets being right, where he's going to be able to be the guy and at least get a half season to lose that spot at a level that we want, right? He's going to have to go and prove something. And maybe that's the motivation he needs, because generally we've seen Christian Pulisic, when he's under the most pressure and under the most criticism, he rises to the challenge, right? He is used to dealing with that level of noise. When he's healthy and when he's fit, I still like his chances to outcompete most people at most clubs.
I mean, we could say this about any player, but if he was crushing it in training and doing well in games, you have to make yourself undroppable. So no matter what club he goes to, there has to be something that's so important to the rest of the team that you're on the field. And we can see moments of it, but maybe it's that lack of consistency, because it doesn't feel like there's any coach out there at the club level that trusts him with that type of responsibility. Right. When he was at Dortmund, though, it seemed like he got a little bit more of that and played a little bit more. And it's interesting. He's at times he can be a real enigma for me. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't disagree. We know what the potential is. We know what he's capable of. It's just a matter of like stringing that out. It's hard because like it's been caught up in this like World Cup to now plus injury, where it just all feels like almost negative thinking about him in my head. And I know he's got so much to give and so much to offer that I'm hoping we're not seeing the ceiling of him yet. You know, he talked about in the podcast with Tim Ream about, you know, wanting to be more of a prolific finisher and more, you know, higher percentage or more consistent or convert more in and around the goal. And I'm hoping that's the next step that we see from him. It's not impossible to say that could happen. It's just been hard to ever see him find a full season rhythm for what feels like a couple of years now. We may have lost Jimmy there. Can you guys hear me? Chime in if you guys can hear me, just so I know that I'm still on this thing and Jimmy is not. But it looks like we lost Jimmy there for a minute. But yeah, as I was getting to, and I'd love everybody's comments, especially now that it's just an intimate little conversation between myself and the people in the comment section. And Jimmy froze, or maybe we froze him. We should have a button where we can just freeze Jimmy every once in a while, or freeze me if I deserve it. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I mean, where do you guys think Christian Pulisic's next step is? Do you think it's a step back? Do you think Chelsea's too high of a level? We've got Jimmy back with his arms up, unfrozen. But Jimmy, we were just talking about, you know, I was having just a very intimate conversation with our friends in the comments here, since you decided to freeze on us. Is this step back the right step? Is that the next step for him? And I don't mean step back like start over, but like, you know, is there something between Chelsea and Dortmund? Because, you know, Dortmund's a big club. It's a bigger club for young players in terms of the stepping stone. It's a huge trade. Just between Dortmund and Chelsea, right? Is there something in there? Is Chelsea too big of a club for a player like Christian Pulisic?
I don't think so. And he already showed that when he first came in. When they first signed him, he was lights out. I don't think he was thinking too much. He was just enjoying it. Everything to gain, nothing to lose, and it showed. And then I think that the shirt is heavy. When you wear a number 10 shirt for a big club, there's a lot of expectations with that. If you just stayed wearing number 22, Heath, I think we're talking about maybe a much more relaxed Christian Pulisic. Honestly, there's something about the heaviness of wearing a certain number of a shirt and what people expect out of you when you decide, I'm going to take on that responsibility. Now, I love that he has that type of confidence, but I wonder, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole too far. I think that he needs to change the scenery. I think that whatever he's going to do at Chelsea, he's already done. And he just needs something different. If you go to a team like Atletico Madrid, if you go to Borussia Dortmund, you're still playing to the Champions League. You're still playing at a high level. You're still competing against some of the very best in the world on a regular basis.
Right.
And if he did well at Atleti, let's say over a 2-year period, I think he could easily find himself back in the Premier League in a different situation, being seen in a different light, kind of shedding some of the disappointment. Now, listen, he's one of a lot of players that maybe haven't played to their complete potential at Chelsea. I'm talking Mo Salah, Kevin De Bruyne, Romelu Lukaku. I mean, there's a laundry list of guys that have gone through the same type of thing. And as they continue to buy, this new owner is even crazier than Roman Abramovich in terms of like, let's go out, scour the world for the best talent. And let's just throw it out there and see what happens, which doesn't guarantee anything, but that's the plan apparently. I just think he needs something different. And I would welcome a change to a club of Atletico Madrid's stature. And I'd be very interested to see if Diego Simeone does end up leaving at the end of the season, who comes in and if that manager will be a better fit for the style that Christian Pulisic likes to play. Because Simeone, it doesn't feel like that would be the best fit, but he would learn. He would definitely get better and smarter and more well-rounded as a player under Simeone. But in terms of him like lighting it up stats-wise, I don't know if that would happen under him.
Yeah, I think about even the Weston McKennie situation where he goes on loan. And now he's probably thinking like it was almost a transfer and then it's a loan. Now you're like, okay, now my options are open because Jesse Marsch is gone. I don't know what the next thing is. I don't know where this club is going to be. It's a good situation for him to be in. Do you think the next move would need to be a season-long loan to get on his feet and prove himself? Or do you think that's more dangerous than just a fresh start? Because I feel like loans can also feel a little bit, unless there's like an option to buy and it's realistic and there's an interest in you and they've got to free up the budget over time or whatever it is, this lack of like convincing or this borrowing of a player can also feel, that lack of permanence can also be a negative towards performances, you know?